done a ton of stuff. Just reading through your bio, my tongue gets tired. So I want to know a bit of your story beyond the bio. Who is Mike S. Heiser? And what's the S stand for anyway?
The S is for Stephen, and the publisher actually does insist on it because, believe it or not, there is a Michael A. Heiser somewhere out there in the world who does like some Bible Sunday school stuff. So the S is actually
Ah,
important. It's not there for, I don't know, effect. Um, yeah, so it's Stephen with a V is what it stands for.
okay.
So when you ask who am I, I'm not supposed to mention Bible stuff. Is that the
No,
rule?
no, not that. But I've said just beyond the published
This
biography.
is like the antidote to the biography, if that's the case, you know. Well, the short version is that, I am a biblical scholar. My field is Hebrew Bible and Semitic languages, which means, you have to take classes in about a dozen dead languages, which I loved. I'm the language geek. But I realize most people hate it. They're not like me. I was a conclusion. I was drawn to kicking and screaming. Not everybody's as into the Bible as you are, Mike, or any of this nerdy stuff. So I'm beyond that. Right now, after 14 years of working at Logos, after I finished my PhD, Logos Bible Software, I was the academic editor, but I never edited anything. It was a made-up title. I didn't. I never edited anything. In 14 years, I didn't edit a single line. It just sounded better than
Oh.
language geek. So okay, we'll go with that. Eventually, I got to change it, and we called me scholar in residence, which sounded better. At least I did something like deserving of that. I wrote books and I wrote reference content. I did mobile ed. I was one of the founders of mobile ed, me and two other people. Um, but now I'm at the Awakening School of Theology in Jacksonville, which is basically a better name than Heiser University. Even though it's essentially my school, we offer a 2-year certificate to anybody who cares. We're not pursuing accreditation or anything like that. First year is we spend 30 weeks going through my book Unseen Realm in lots of detail. And then the second year we do what I call contemporary postmodern apologetics. And what I mean by that is, there's an Old Testament semester, New Testament semester, stuff that you run into on Facebook and the internet, you see on TV shows, History Channel, otherwise known as the Fantasy Channel.
Mm-hmm.
You see this kind of stuff that is put on there that really undermines people's faith. So we take apart claims that are very familiar to people who love to troll Christians online.
Mm.
And the kind of stuff you'll get thrown at you if you take a religion class in college at a secular university. So we walk through all that stuff, and the goal is not I'm going to give you more ammunition so you win the tit for tat. I'm not going to give you funny lines so you win, okay, because you're
Mm-hmm.
funnier. I'd rather you be able to help someone track the way you think through an issue, because if they can do that, it will expose the way they think.
Mm.
And then you can both together have a conversation about some of the assumptions that you both make. And are those assumptions coherent or not? Are they data driven? Is there primary source material for these things? So rather than say, I saw a talking head on the History Channel say this, I want people to ask questions like, well, what was the source for that? Why would he draw that conclusion from that thing as opposed to this other conclusion? Let's think about this. Just have a better conversation. I don't think apologetics should be aimed at converting trolls. Trolls love to troll. It's what they do. They are not interested in information. They are not interested in learning anything or having a conversation. So flick the trolls away and get to the people who really do want answers to their questions. And then you can have an intelligent discussion with them. So that's what we try to do in second year. That's what I'm doing right now. Still writing, doing my own. I have two podcasts. Naked Bible Podcast is the big one. We crossed 7 million downloads this year, so that's the big one. But I have another podcast called Peer Anormal, where we go through paranormal topics from the perspective of peer-reviewed science and literature. a lot of people don't realize that orbs in photographs, for instance, there are actual studies of that in peer-reviewed
Mm.
literature. So myself and a panel of friends, we read, a few select articles. We make those articles accessible to the listenership, and we just talk through them. Okay, what did
Mm.
they find? What was the study about? How did they do it? What did they conclude? Is there anything that they wish they would have done differently? So we try to again promote better thinking about these things. I also have a YouTube channel, Fringe Pop 321, where our episodes are 15 to 20 minutes, and they're all aimed at fringe stuff, fringe pop, fringe stuff, popular culture. Where again, the goal is the same. We're looking for people who aren't necessarily churched at all or not Christians at all, but they're interested in these topics. And so, what you know may not be so is our little tagline.
Mm.
Let's get into that ancient alien subject, and let me expose to you what you're not being told about a particular thing, and how do we take apart this claim and examine it for coherence. So I have my fingers in lots of pies. I've been in the fringe culture for about 20 years. I was sort of sucked into the vortex because of my novel, which I burned the first year of my dissertation writing a novel. It's a sci-fi paranormal theological thriller, and it now has a sequel. So I have two of those. But once that was out, I sort of got sucked into the paranormal circuit. So that's why I've spoken at UFO conferences, and I do lots of New Age talk shows. Coast to Coast AM is the most famous one. It used to be the Art Bell show. I've been on there 34 times. I'm the friendly, sort of debunking, nice Bible guy
Mm.
that talks about these things, from a data-driven, scholarly perspective. But the fact that I'm willing to talk about it is really why these shows, have me on. Because otherwise, it's just Billy Bob and his website trading barbs with somebody else that has a website. So I like to do that stuff. It's interesting. I've always been interested in anything old and weird. So when I became a Christian in high school, it was like the Bible was the sweet spot. And I liked the languages. I was good at that academically, and all this stuff just sort of came together, and eventually wound up getting a PhD in Hebrew Bible and Semitic languages, and the rest is sort of history.
So you said you guys have reached 7 million downloads. I mean,
Yeah.
I wish you guys would catch up to us. We had that last week.
If you did, I want to know how you did it. maybe we need to add sound effects. That's what we need. Or pug pictures. Get a glimpse of a pug with every download.
Oh,
Hey,
well,
you laugh, but I go to events and people bring treats for my pugs.
well, I can't but help think of like Men in Black with the pug who's like an alien.
Frank the
So I've
pug.
got that picture in my head right now.
One of my pugs is a fawn color pug, and it looks just like Frank.